and now lost at sea 5,000 miles from home. She was working on the family cruise ship, the Disney Wonder, as a youth activities coordinator when she vanished.
So here is Rebecca. She was 3 days into a trip on the Disney World vessel. They claim they did an extensive search in the Pacific Ocean off of Mexico between Puerto Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas. Hey everybody, hope everybody's having a good Saturday. We have another Amy Lynn Bradley type of case. I'm going to walk while talking about this. So we have, as I'm going to the gym, got both my gyms next to each other. That is a beautiful thing about Rio Rancho in New Mexico. We got a Define Fitness. And this other gym, Elite Physique, which is over here. So I can do the fluff workout with the hardcore workouts and then get the sauna and the whirlpool. So we're going to talk about Rebecca Coriam, British young lady, went missing under the same bizarre circumstances as Amy Lynn Bradley. But her situation, in March 22nd of 2011, which is ironic because her birthday was March 11th, 1987, right after her birthday. She was working on the ship owned by Disney World, and it was booked out of the Bahamas. So just because it has Disney on it has nothing to do with where the ship, what country that it docks and it's chartered out of. So that's problem number one. Again, we get into Caribbean, small country, law enforcement, and this has all sorts of problems and hair all over it. This Rebecca was 24 years old. She was working on the ship. She had worked on the ship in the past, almost like that show Below Deck, if you've ever seen that, doing similar things. Had a good family out of Britain. She was very nice, no issues, nothing remarkable as far as nothing strange, no drug issues, no crime issues, not a bunch of families. So, young lady enjoying cruising. So on March 22nd, she was seen in the crew lounge having a phone call that seemed emotionally distressing, as it was described to British authorities. She ended up going to talk to another crew member about it, who came up to her and asked her if she was doing okay. She said yes. It's later been surmised that this phone call was regarding a romantic relationship where she was having problems, which is nothing out of the ordinary. Most relationships for people in their 20s and 30s, they tend to collapse or have a lot of issues, so it's not as if there's anything bad going on, but she seemed pretty upset. So she didn't show up for a shift at 9 a.m. They went and looked for her. It's different than Amy Lynn Bradley. I mean, it's different. There's that saying, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Because we have a young lady around the same age going missing on a cruise ship chartered out of a small country. Except she had left Los Angeles, and just like Amy had left Florida, Puerto Rico, which is the United States Protectorate. So, you hear those aphids? It's like Florida here, even though we're in the desert. So, They didn't find her. They searched around. They did initially think that she might have slipped into the pool. That was because this has a bunch of theories. The Disney World boat security staff found sandals and some clothing near the pool. It was later found with British authorities. It wasn't hers. Then people came up with, well, she fell overboard, the same falling overboard. Except the difference with this and Amy Lynn Bradley is that nobody was really around. She wasn't on the balcony. So, and let me preface, no body was ever found for her. Same thing, nothing was found. They finally came to the conclusion in 2016, British law enforcement, which is another law enforcement, which they barely do anything. If you see, I mean, they're not the FBI. They tried to investigate it, but they also were dealing with the Bahamas. And this boat was, when she went missing, it had left Los Angeles and was off the Pacific Ocean of Mexico going to Puerto Vallarta and Cabo. So it was in that region. You know, very far from where Amy went missing, but again, similar thing. Bunch of gray areas. And number one, family obliterated the British law enforcement. They were very frustrated. There was all the investigators was very badly investigating. Disney didn't help out at all, of course, but you know, Disney, and I don't mean to throw shade on them and cast aspersions, but Disney around that time, I think it might have been a little after, but Disney's had a lot of issues considering they're a mega trillion-dollar company with the absolute tragic little boy who was attacked by an alligator while in Orlando at Disney World, which is just unbelievably atrocious. Unfreaking believably atrocious. And Disney had to settle with the parents, of course. Still doesn't make up for losing your child in that way. So obviously Disney did nothing really to help the family out. The family sued and did get a settlement. But the final, the two theories with Rebecca are, one, that she was upset after the phone conversation on March 22nd and a rogue wave, which does happen in the Pacific, swamped her while she was on the railing and she fell overboard. The other one is that she was abducted and SA'd and then unalived. So by a bad man. I have to follow YouTube community guidelines, so I can't really be real descriptive, as people know. But I find this disturbing. It's another situation of things happen. And Occam's razor is always what is the most legitimate answer. But you have another family loses a daughter. I can appreciate to a certain degree my past family. So you losing somebody and nothing has come of it. You have a massive corporation, Disney, just like with Amy Lynn Bradley. You had Rhapsody of the Sea was owned by Royal Caribbean. So you have a situation where you have two massive corporations and they don't help anybody. They don't do anything to other than settle, though the Bradleys didn't get to settle for their lawsuit because of some issues, and this is not about the legal entanglements. But then you have a situation where they're not even the family's in a whole nother continent trying to deal with this situation. So that's another missing young lady off a cruise ship, Rebecca Coriam, rest in peace. Nothing, with Amy Lynn Bradley, I have put most of my chips on fell overboard, but I'm taking some chips off because there's a lot of stuff coming forward with trafficking and abduction. With this case, I don't know what to think, because people are jumping to, they're blaming it, saying people associated with the cruise ship, that she ended herself because of this phone call and the repercussions of whatever was going on in its romantic relationship. But I've shot that down because people jump to that very easily. People who, and Rebecca was one of these, who have never had SI or SA, which is unaliving ideations or unaliving attempts by your own person. People who've never made comments regarding this, people who've never acted out. Someone doesn't all of a sudden, it happens in some very rare cases. It happens, but the tail doesn't wag the dog. And she didn't have any inclination towards that. But that's a very easy thing to chalk it up to. So we have another deal where there's no, but this one's even more, what would be the best word for this? This one's more random and abstract and obsequious compared to Amy Lynn Bradley. So if anyone has any information, please reach out and help the family. Thank you for watching. Everybody stay safe.